In the serene atmosphere of the Lifelong Learning Institute's oil painting class, I found myself in the presence of the woman my husband had never quite managed to erase from his memory. She possessed a gentle grace and captivating beauty, having chosen to remain unmarried throughout her life. I knew it at once. The assignment she submitted carried the unmistakable essence of my beloved husband, Samuel Harrington. It was his creation, a treasure among his most beloved works, a piece he had kept hidden from the world. Thus, they had never genuinely been separated. For more than 30 years, they had been clandestinely entwined in each other's lives, hidden from my gaze. Hand in hand, they curated an enchanting art gallery. I bowed my head, gazing at my weathered, calloused hands as tears began to shimmer in my eyes. Their 30 years had been adorned with fervor and enchantment. My days were devoted to the gentle rhythm of life's daily pursuits. And in that moment, it dawned on me that I could no longer bear the thought of spending my days in such a manner. At the age of 65. Throughout the majority of my life, I remained at home, nurturing my family and guiding my son until he blossomed into a man with a family of his own. It was only recently that I discovered a precious moment that belonged solely to me. I have enrolled in an oil painting class at the Lifelong Learning Institute. I envisioned, even as the years gracefully unfolded, that perhaps I could nurture a shared passion with my beloved husband. At the registration entrance, a refined and graceful woman stood, exuding an aura of serene elegance. Time had bestowed upon her a rare and gentle grace. Her hair shimmered like silver, while her complexion glowed with a radiant allure, and her presence was undeniably captivating. She was the kind of woman who had been adored throughout her life, effortlessly gliding through each moment with grace and ease. "Pardon me, is this the place where I may enroll in the oil painting class?" Before I realized it, I found myself stepping forward, irresistibly drawn to her, compelled to utter the words that danced on my lips. Perhaps, beneath the surface, I had always yearned for a life akin to hers, free, graceful, and unblemished by weariness. She gazed at me, her smile radiating warmth and tenderness. "Indeed, this is the class dedicated to the art of painting. It appears we are now companions in this academic journey. Greetings, I am Juliet, a pleasure to make your acquaintance." There was a delightful sincerity about her, an innate allure that rendered her utterly irresistible. And in that fleeting moment, our friendship blossomed. I spent the entire day in her enchanting company, and it was truly delightful. As the evening descended and we lingered by the campus gates, Juliet turned to me with a gentle grace. "Shall we indulge in a delightful meal together? Perhaps we could indulge in a soothing spa session afterward." I gently shook my head, a profound, lingering sense of inadequacy enveloping me. "I must return home to prepare a delightful dinner for my beloved family. Thank you ever so much for the invitation." As the words slipped from my lips, a wave of youthful embarrassment washed over me, leaving me feeling like a naive child, grasping my well-loved black tote as I made my swift exit. As I averted my gaze from her, a shiver coursed through my entire being. The tears I had been so bravely containing at last cascaded forth. It was merely a week ago that I first laid eyes on Juliet during my visit to the Lifelong Learning Institute. On that day, she gracefully submitted her assignment to our painting instructor. She presented it as a creation by her beloved partner, a work she had tenderly replicated. The instructor was so impressed that they decided to present it to the entire class. And from the other side of the glass window, I instantly recognized that exquisite painting. That distinctive elegance. It belonged to my beloved husband, Samuel Harrington. One of his most cherished creations, a masterpiece he had kept hidden from the eyes of others. Years of shared life had woven an unvoiced connection between us. And yet, it was in that very moment that I found myself face to face with a harsh, undeniable truth. A sharp ache twisted within my heart. As if that were not enough, amidst the class's applause and encouragement, Juliet gracefully unveiled the enchanting love story she shared with this enigmatic man, a tale that had beautifully endured for over 30 years. How delightfully ironic. For the man in her tale was none other than the one to whom I had pledged my heart and soul since my youthful days. And now, here I found myself, compelled to hear as another woman spoke of the fervent, timeless affection she shared with my husband. A delicate, unbidden shiver coursed through my being. A wave of anxiety enveloped me, my body tensed, and a dizzying torrent of warmth flooded my senses, leaving me momentarily adrift in a haze of discomfort. I found myself unprepared to embrace it. Today, I returned. I have taken the step to enroll in the class. I found myself seated beside Juliet. I longed to behold her beauty in the most intimate way. And yet, after merely a single day in her presence, it seemed as though a heavy burden had settled upon my heart, squeezing the very essence of life from within me. Despair enveloped me entirely. Any lingering, whimsical notion I once harbored about Samuel has now been utterly dispelled. Upon my return home, I found Samuel immersed in his work within the studio. He remained hidden, choosing not to reveal himself at the sound of my arrival. Instead, he called out from afar, his voice tinged with a hint of impatience. "You've returned home rather late, my dear. Let us begin preparing dinner, for the hour has grown late. Ethan shall return from school at any moment now." I lingered in the living room, peering through the slender gap of the studio door. Even as he approached 70, Samuel maintained an upright posture, his presence as captivating as ever, untouched by the passage of time. Though his skin had softened with time, his sharp, chiseled features continued to captivate with their striking allure. He wielded his brush with a certain confidence, a passion that captivated those around him, inviting them to lose themselves entirely in his artistry. When I remained silent, he called out once more, his tone tinged with impatience. "Why do you linger there, my dear? Did you not catch my words? Would you wish for your son to return home after a long day's toil to find the table bare of dinner? Should Ethan complete his homework while feeling the pangs of hunger?" I averted my gaze and surveyed the expansive living room, its elegance enveloping me. The walls were graced with family portraits, cherished photographs capturing our journey through the years, and exquisite oil paintings crafted by Samuel for our beloved family. Yet, as I gazed more intently, a revelation dawned upon me. Amidst the myriad of paintings, none captured my essence. The deep-seated, stifling resentment I had concealed for years has finally emerged, clawing its way to the surface. I called out, "Paint, paint, paint." As soon as you arrive home, you retreat into that secluded studio, enveloped in your own world. Is this enchanting abode solely my own? Are these children solely my burden to bear? Ah, Professor Harrington, you have now entered the serene chapter of retirement. What compels you to immerse yourself in your art with such fervor each day? Samuel halted, taken aback by my sudden exclamation. He was unprepared for such a response from me. With a sigh of frustration, he placed his brush aside. There is little to be gained in conversation with someone so lacking in depth. Art is a journey that unfolds throughout one's life. It requires unwavering commitment. Ah, but what could you possibly understand of such matters? Passion ignited within me. I cast my bag aside and swept into his studio, my finger gracefully tracing the outlines of the paintings in the living room. Pray, enlighten me, dear professor. For decades, you have poured your heart into painting, immortalizing those who surround you. Yet, I find myself wondering, why is there not a single portrait of me among your creations? Samuel's brow furrowed at my fervor, retreating a step as though my very presence were a delicate disturbance in the air. Please, Eleanor, let us refrain from causing a disturbance. Kindly refrain from entering my studio. You are simply a devoted homemaker. Devote your attention to your duties. What could inspire me to capture your essence on canvas? What is the purpose of it all? Do take care not to embarrass yourself. As I gazed upon him, an icy sensation enveloped me, transcending mere chill to touch the very depths of my being. It touched the very essence of my being. Pray, enlighten me, Samuel Harrington, what treasures are worthy of being captured on canvas? Why is it that I am deemed only deserving of the role of the woman who tends to your meals and keeps your space in order? Throughout my life, I have devoted myself to nurturing this home, raising our children, and making countless sacrifices for you. Yet, in the end, you regard me with nothing but disdain. Samuel let out a sharp breath, a hint of irritation dancing in his expression. With a swift motion, he cast his brush aside, ink dancing across the canvas and cascading onto the floor. My dear Eleanor, what seems to be troubling you today? Did someone disturb your peace outside? I kindly ask that you refrain from bringing any trivial, narrow-minded concerns into our home. Cease your behavior akin to that of a mere street urchin. Superficial. Unpleasant. I released a soft, self-mocking laugh. Yet, as laughter danced from my lips, so too did my tears cascade softly. As I gazed upon Samuel's face, twisted in disdain as though I were merely a bothersome presence, I found myself unable to refrain from inquiring, is painting Juliet the sole endeavor that holds any depth for him? The sole aspect that remains untainted? His expression became momentarily still. After years of restlessness, Samuel found himself utterly still, his gaze fixed upon me, a mysterious expression dancing across his features. I imagined he would insist on uncovering the means by which I had learned of Juliet. Perhaps he would find himself in a flurry, attempting to articulate his thoughts, seeking to conceal his missteps, or at the very least, reveal a hint of remorse. In the end, we have crafted this beautiful life side by side. Years of shared love, a cherished home, beloved children, and the joy of grandchildren. Surely, a fragment of his heart must still cling to this family, no matter how small. Then, what reason could there be to guard such a secret for 3 decades? Why persist in this clandestine romance rather than simply parting ways with me? Yet, what took me by surprise, what I could never have anticipated, was the raw, unrestrained fury that momentarily illuminated his features. His momentary shock swiftly transformed into a deeper, more profound sensation. His eyes glowed with a fierce intensity, his entire being coiling with tension as though I had crossed an unforgivable boundary. It was not the familiar annoyance, the patronizing tone, or the hasty disregard I had come to know through the passage of time. Indeed, this was something entirely unique. This was the kind of fury a man experiences when something dear to his heart is in jeopardy. "Eleanor, I must caution you," he murmured, his voice a soft tremor, laced with a barely restrained intensity. "No matter the tempest you may unleash upon me, I implore you, do not, under any circumstances, disturb the tranquility of Juliet's life." In an instant, my fury waned, extinguished like a delicate flame dancing in the breeze. I gazed upon him, his eyes aflame, his very essence wrapped in a protective embrace for another woman. In that fleeting moment, he seemed like a distant stranger to my heart. Had I ever genuinely understood the man with whom I had shared my bed for so many years? Or was the part one embodied, this so-called wife, merely a fleeting mirage? It felt as though I had been ensnared in an endless, tormenting reverie. A dream so enchanting, so unwavering, that I found myself believing it to be the very essence of reality. Samuel continued to speak, his voice growing more fervent with each passing moment. "It is true, Juliet and I share a bond that reflects our kindred spirits. She possesses a gallery, and I have taken a modest stake in it, that is all. From time to time, I share a selection of paintings. It serves as a splendid opportunity to enhance my standing. What of the fortune I earn? I have devoted every single cent to you, have I not always done so? We have both journeyed through the years, dear Eleanor. Almost at the twilight of our existence. Why do you continue to create such a commotion?" He continued to speak, weaving his thoughts with fervor, offering explanations without the need for defense. A man, typically so composed and sparing with his words, now found himself a mere echo, endlessly reiterating his sentiments, fervently striving to protect her. As though they feared I might seek out Juliet, as if my very existence in her realm could somehow mar its beauty. "Cease your unreasonable ways," he retorted with a hint of frustration. "This is not as it appears to be. Truly, at this stage in our lives, is there not a hint of modesty within you?" With that, he twirled on his heels, swept out of the studio, and ascended the stairs with a fervent stride. In an instant, the bedroom door closed with a dramatic thud, echoing through the stillness. The house was enveloped in a profound silence. A hush so profound that I could discern the gentle, rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the living room. I reclined against Samuel's work table, my legs yielding beneath me as I gracefully descended to the floor. My body, weary from countless years of devotion and toil, sighed softly with a heavy, lingering ache. And then, at last, I surrendered to the moment, allowing myself to fall gracefully, like a whimsical performer in a wandering circus. Yet, there was no audience, no laughter to fill the air, leaving only a sense of melancholy in its wake. Before long, my phone began to ring persistently, gently drawing me from my reverie. It was my beloved son. I stifled my tears and responded, only to be confronted by Caleb's piercing, restless voice, hurling accusations at me without a moment's respite. My parents just called, their voices filled with fervor. It was mentioned that there would be no dinner prepared at home this evening, and we were kindly advised to dine out instead. He remarked that you had become quite unhinged over trivial matters and declined to prepare a meal. Pray tell, what on earth are you up to? Could it be that you are experiencing a late-onset menopause, perhaps? At this stage of life, what could possibly be causing such a stir? Father has already shared all the details. Aunt Juliet embodies refinement and sophistication, possessing a profound appreciation for the world of art. They are simply kindred souls, nothing more. Cease your unfounded worries. Our work already brings forth a fair share of stress. There is no need to create turmoil and render our home unwelcoming. His words fell upon me like a relentless storm, each one colder and more cutting than the last, leaving a chill in their wake. Not a whisper of appreciation lingered for the countless years I devoted to this family. To him, my endeavors were merely anticipated, my being reduced to nothing more than an extension of my obligations. An aching void of desolation took residence within my heart. I released a soft, bitter laugh before inquiring, my tone laced with frost. Caleb Harrington, would you truly have the audacity to address your mother-in-law in such a manner? A sudden, jarring noise echoed from the other side. In a moment of sudden anger, something may be cast aside, falling to the ground. His voice rose, filled with passion and intensity. Dearest mother, if you find yourself unwell, I urge you to seek the care of a physician. If you find yourself feeling under the weather, perhaps a gentle nap would be a soothing remedy. What on earth does my mother-in-law have to do with this situation? She is a remarkable businesswoman, currently at the helm of her own company. What could possibly rival such a thing? And then, with a gentle click, he gently ended the call. I raised my eyes just as Samuel descended the stairs, impeccably attired for an evening out. He regarded me with a gaze filled only with irritation and disdain. Remain within the comforts of your abode and indulge in a moment of self-reflection, he remarked with a hint of urgency. You have outgrown this frivolity. I am stepping out for a delightful meal. He did not pause for my reply. He slipped on his shoes, gently opened the door, and let it close with a decisive thud behind him. Once more, the house embraced a profound silence. I released a trembling breath and cast a fleeting glance at the counter. His heart medication lay there, a silent reminder of his hurried departure. Though the embers of anger still smoldered within me, my hands acted on instinct, seizing the bottle as I rushed after him. As my fingers brushed against the door handle, his voice floated to me from beyond, a gentle whisper in the air. He was engaged in a phone conversation. My dear companion at home seemed to have lost her senses today, he murmured, his voice laced with exasperation. Juliet, I trust she did not frighten you. Hold a moment. Then he released a sigh of relief, a gentle exhalation that spoke volumes. Are you not familiar with her identity? Delightful. It is indeed preferable in that manner. Just a whimsical old soul who dedicates her days to the art of cooking and the charm of keeping her home pristine. There is nothing of significance to discover. My fingers curled delicately around the doorknob. He let out a soft, melodic chuckle. Alas, I find myself yet to indulge in a meal. Have you, my dear? If that's the case, I shall visit the gallery, and together we can discuss the plans for the upcoming fall exhibition. The car engine awakened with a powerful growl, and with a commanding rumble, Samuel gracefully set off on his journey. I remained still in the hallway, the chill seeping through my limbs, finding a home within my very bones. The final traces of doubt, of connection, of wistful yearning, dissolved away. In my tightly grasped hand, the bottle of heart medication nestled against my palm, its contours gently imprinting upon my skin. At that moment, the soft glow of my phone screen illuminated with a new message. It was a message from my dear grandson, Ethan. Dearest Grandma, Dad mentioned that you and Grandpa had a disagreement. It would be wise to reconsider your actions. Should Grandpa's temper flare and he decides he no longer wishes for your company, you may find yourself in quite a predicament. The tender musings of a child. Pure and untainted. Unmindful. Yet, they unveiled a truth more piercing than the finest edge. In the innocent realm of a child's imagination, a grandmother devoid of occupation and autonomy appeared merely as a transient figure, akin to a servant whose presence was easily overlooked. A devoted housekeeper cherished by Grandpa. Effortlessly cast aside. With a sense of detachment, I stepped back indoors, made my way to my desk, and gently opened my laptop. Certificate of marriage. Records of financial affairs. And at last, the divorce agreement. I delicately printed the finalized divorce agreement and arranged it with care upon Samuel's desk. With a gentle resolve, I gathered a handful of cherished belongings and departed for the apartment I had acquired years prior, a thoughtful investment made before the vows of matrimony graced my life. What was once a pristine, contemporary haven has gracefully succumbed to the passage of time, transforming into a space that bears the gentle marks of neglect. After a considerable effort to restore order, as I finally reclined upon the bed, a thought lingered in my mind. Had my life unfolded in a similar fashion? Have I, too, surrendered every whisper of my former self? My phone vibrated softly, a symphony of missed calls and messages awaiting my attention. Samuel emerged victorious. Each and every one of them bore the same accusations. I found myself acting rather childishly. I found myself too mature to be indulging in the whims of a rebellious youth, fleeing from the comforts of home. I have severed all ties with them. After many years, I found myself in a space that truly belonged to me. And I surrendered to the embrace of slumber. Years spent rising with the first light, laboring diligently to maintain the warmth of that home, had taken their toll on my spirit. The countless nights spent in restless contemplation have bestowed upon me a maturity that belies my years, rendering my appearance far more seasoned than my true age suggests. For in reality, I was but 5 years his junior, a mere whisper in the tapestry of time that separated us. When we first crossed paths, I was the most enchanting girl in the town. Young suitors would pursue me, eager to capture my heart. In those days, Samuel was merely an art teacher at the charming local public elementary school. In the wake of a devastating wildfire, he found himself alone, bereft of his parents and all that he once held dear. Without family, without wealth, and lacking even the simplest of garments to adorn oneself. Yet, amidst his misfortune, he carried himself with the serene confidence of an artist, both aloof and unattainable. It seems that was the very essence that captivated my heart in the end. His quiet confidence and unwavering pride shined through, even in the face of adversity. In those times, aspiring artists were often regarded as naive and unworthy. He possessed neither riches nor security, nor could he promise a bright tomorrow. They ridiculed him, tormented him, deemed him a hopeless soul. Thus, I began to deliver meals to him discreetly, ensuring he had something warm and comforting to savor. Each precious coin I saved was devoted to procuring eggs and vegetables for him, ensuring he received the nourishment he needed to thrive. In due course, Samuel embarked on his journey to college, bidding farewell to our quaint little town. And even in the absence of an engagement, I devoted myself to his care. Every detail of his laundry, every meal prepared with care, all orchestrated to allow him the freedom to immerse himself in his studies and his art, unburdened by distractions. In the end, even in the absence of a wedding, financial stability, or the warm embrace of friends and family, I chose to marry him without a moment's doubt. I can still recall the way he clasped my hands in those moments, gazing at me with pure devotion. Eleanor, to unite with you in marriage is the most profound honor I could ever imagine. And now, after all these years, I had transformed into the most loathsome presence in his existence. After a few days of repose, my body and spirit began to find their harmony once more. Understanding gracefully emerged. The veil of countless years spent in sacrifice and neglect has finally lifted, revealing the true essence of things before me. I reached out to Samuel. The instant he raised his voice, though tinged with fatigue, resonated with a hint of hesitant agreement. "Eleanor, it is time to draw the line. Return to me. The entire home feels disheveled in your absence." As I stood upon the balcony of my apartment, I gently tended to the delicate potted plants I had chosen to infuse a touch of life into the space. I gently curved my lips into a delicate smile. "Samuel, I have devoted countless years to nurturing you. As we approach the conclusion of this chapter, I find myself yearning to embrace a few years dedicated solely to my own desires and dreams. Whatever fate befalls that house, it is no longer within my realm of concern." Before Samuel had the chance to reply, Caleb's voice gracefully interjected, laced with a hint of exasperation. "Dearest Mom, both Naomi and I find ourselves quite overwhelmed with our responsibilities, and Ethan is in need of someone to care for him. He returns from school to a quiet home, indulging in fast food each evening. Father lacks even the simplest of clean garments to adorn himself. The setting is quite unfortunate. Please, cease your wandering and return to me." I cast my eyes downward, observing my hands, those hands that had diligently scrubbed floors, prepared meals, and folded laundry. Once soft and delicate, they now bore the marks of time, lined with wrinkles and roughened by years of unrecognized toil. "I shall not return." My voice flowed with a calm certainty, resolute and unwavering. "For years, I sacrificed everything to support your father's dream. And in the end, you all cast me aside as an unreasonable madwoman. Ah, Caleb, you have stepped into the realm of adulthood. You possess a family of your own. You, more than anyone else, must truly grasp the challenges of maintaining a harmonious household. One must truly understand the weariness that accompanies the tender act of caring for others. Yet, rather than a sense of gratitude, what envelopes you is a feeling of entitlement. You believe I was destined to be your guardian, that my very existence was woven into the fabric of this family's service. Ah, but that is no longer the case." I inhaled deeply, finding my balance within the moment. "Henceforth, unless it is of utmost importance, I kindly ask that you refrain from reaching out to me. Throughout my existence, I have devoted myself to the happiness of others. It is time for me to embrace a life that is truly my own." Samuel remained steadfast in his decision, unwilling to consent to the divorce. Caleb, in contrast, inundated me with messages and calls, chastising me for behaving in a manner unbecoming of my years. I chose to turn a blind eye to it all. Instead, I engaged the services of a lawyer, entrusting him with the full authority to initiate the process of divorce. In the interim, I gracefully stepped back from the painting course at the Lifelong Learning Institute. After a bit of exploration, I discovered a private flight school. The staff gazed at me in astonishment as I completed the registration form and passed the medical exam, gracefully stepping into the role of their oldest student. I had the pleasure of visiting an exquisite cosmetic clinic, where I indulged in a comprehensive beauty treatment package. Thus, I embarked on a journey into the enchanting realms of floral arrangement and tea ceremony classes, pursuits that had long captured my heart yet remained untouched until now. Throughout the initial chapters of my life, even as Samuel's career blossomed and our family enjoyed a steady financial foundation, I found myself often critical of my own worth. I diligently set aside every coin, making certain that each one was devoted to fulfilling my family's needs rather than my own desires. I devoted every fragment of my love and patience to nurturing those around me. As I reflect upon the past, I come to understand the folly of my actions. There was a delightful exhilaration in treating myself with my own hard-earned savings, embracing the pleasures I had long withheld from my heart. It was a thrilling experience. Samuel sought to reach out to me frequently, endeavoring to spark gentle and soothing dialogues. He graced my apartment with his presence on several occasions, only to be gently turned away by security. I have already conveyed to the property management my wishes to deny him entry. I allowed him no opportunity to disturb the serenity of my new existence. I was wholly absorbed in crafting the love I truly deserved. My schedule has swiftly become a tapestry of engagements. Each day brimmed with intention, delight, and a sense of fulfillment. I have even embraced the serenity of a yoga class, gracefully shedding the weight that has lingered for years. In the course of these new experiences, I encountered remarkable individuals, kindred spirits, self-sufficient, and brimming with vitality. Our afternoons were graced with the gentle ritual of sipping tea, engaging in spirited games of poker, and weaving tales of our journeys towards self-discovery. We embarked on an impromptu journey, gathering our belongings and setting forth to embrace the enchanting splendor of the world. Samuel continued to resist the notion of parting ways in their marriage. As the horizon of agreement remained elusive, I found myself seated with my lawyer, contemplating the path ahead in our pursuit of justice through the lawsuit. Yet, just as I was poised to embrace the next chapter, an unforeseen guest graced my presence. Naomi, the beloved wife of Caleb. She lingered in the doorway of my newly refreshed apartment, her eyes gracefully traversing the inviting, well-kept space and the fragrant blossoms flourishing on the balcony. She released a soft, lingering sigh. I met her gaze with a hint of aloofness and inquired, "Naomi, have you come to persuade me to return and serve you once more without recompense?" She blinked, taken aback by my candidness. For a fleeting moment, she remained silent. Then, with a gentle grace, she slowly shook her head. "Perhaps, in the beginning." Ah, Eleanor, the instant our eyes met today, my heart was swayed anew. Her voice was soft, imbued with a sense of contemplation. "You are unlike any woman I have encountered throughout the years. At last, I believe I have come to grasp the reasons behind your decision." Her words enveloped me unexpectedly. After what seemed like an eternity, a gentle awakening blossomed within me. After a moment's stillness, my voice took on a gentle warmth. "My dear, it seems that our paths may not cross as frequently in the days to come. However, should you find yourself in genuine need, particularly regarding financial matters, do not hesitate to seek out Samuel. Kindly suggest that he consider employing a true housekeeper. As of this day, I bid farewell to my role as a free maid, embracing a new chapter in my life." A serene week has gracefully unfolded. That afternoon, after completing my beauty treatment, I returned home to discover two individuals awaiting me outside my building. As though they could feel my presence, they both turned to me in perfect unison. Juliet remained there, her grace and poise as enchanting as always. In her gaze, there was an absence of hostility, no trace of condescension, only a tranquil, understanding smile, as if the essence of nobility flowed through her very being. And by her side, Samuel. He bore no resemblance to the assured professor he had once been. He stood beside her, gentle and unassuming, reminiscent of a tender house cat. As his gaze fell upon me, Samuel became momentarily still. He beheld my appearance, a look of surprise crossing his features, as though he had not anticipated such a remarkable transformation. After several long seconds of uncertainty, he finally recognized me, and in a swift, fervent motion, he stepped forward. His hands clasped my shoulders with an intensity that stirred something deep within me, and in that moment, his weathered face revealed a yearning, a profound desire that had been absent for far too long. "At long last, Eleanor. At long last, I have awaited your arrival. I arrived here solely to behold your presence." I observed him with great interest. His trousers bore the marks of oil, while his shirt, unpressed and wrinkled, hinted at a day filled with labor. He had been struggling of late. Yet, what truly astonishes? There was an absence of feeling. No pity. Not resentment. Not the echoes of affection. Simply. Silence speaks volumes. "Pray tell, what is it that draws you to seek my presence?" My voice lingered in the air, a whisper of distance and detachment. The Eleanor who once orbited this man, who had devoted her very existence to him, has faded into the past. Samuel tensed at my aloofness, his hold wavering. For the first time, a blush of embarrassment graced his features. He paused for a moment, his voice emerging with a hint of longing. "My dearest Eleanor, I implore you, let not your heart harbor any anger. Your absence leaves the house in a state of longing. This tale unfolds around Juliet. Today, I intentionally brought her along with me. She will articulate it beautifully, assuring you that there is nothing amiss between us. Might that bring some assistance? A soft laugh nearly slipped from my lips. I gently released his hands from my shoulders, with a measured grace. Samuel, what exists between us is a world unto itself, untouched by the presence of others. Allow me to clarify, my dear, Juliet is not the cause of my desire to part ways with you. Yet he remained resolute. I understand that I was mistaken, he pressed on, his voice laced with urgency. I shall lend you my hand more often in our home, I assure you. Let us cease this discord. Our time together has been a beautiful journey, Eleanor. At this stage in our lives, parting ways would only render us the subject of ridicule. Shall we return to our haven? This time, a genuine laugh escaped my lips. Would you be so kind as to assist me with the housework? I softly repeated, tilting my head with a gentle grace. Pay heed to your inner voice. Your words suggest that housework has always been my responsibility, and that you are merely bestowing a kindness upon me by offering your assistance. Have you ever thought to inquire? What led to that being my responsibility from the very beginning? Samuel's expression grew somber. He found his patience waning, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. My dearest Eleanor, I have journeyed here solely to seek you out. What else could you desire? I promised to share the housework, and I vowed to be more understanding. What more could you desire from me? All good things must come to a close. I gazed at him, my face a mask of stillness. In an instant, a wave of weariness washed over me. I found myself devoid of any desire to share my thoughts with him any longer. At that moment, Juliet, who had remained quiet throughout, delicately pulled on Samuel's arm. That is quite enough, Samuel, she murmured, her tone gentle yet resolute. Take a moment to find your serenity. May I have a moment to converse with Eleanor? To my utter astonishment, the gentleman who had been engaged in a spirited debate with me mere moments before, gracefully yielded. As if a cherished companion, gracefully attuned to every nuance. He truly paid attention to her. Juliet advanced, meeting my gaze with a serene assurance that spoke of a life untouched by the need for justification. She donned a silk dress that embraced her form with an effortless elegance, radiating a quiet opulence that needed no ostentation. She met my gaze with a serene confidence, as if she carried no burden of guilt within her heart. Eleanor, she said with a graceful lilt, we were once classmates. And for a fleeting day, we shared the bond of friendship. Would you grant me the pleasure of engaging in a conversation? In the charming cafe beside my apartment, we found ourselves seated across from one another. Two elderly women engaged in a serene standoff. The silence lingered between us for several minutes until Juliet, with a gentle grace, finally shattered it. She absent-mindedly tucked a stray wisp of hair behind her ear, her smile refined and enchanting. It seems there may have been a slight misinterpretation regarding my connection with Samuel, she began with a gentle tone. Perhaps in the tender days of our youth, we experienced a connection that transcended mere friendship. Yet, that was but a brief whisper of time, long past. I remained silent, captivated by her presence, eagerly anticipating the moment she would unveil the thoughts she had come to share. I have never taken the vow of marriage, she continued. I have often perceived marriage as a delicate confinement. I yearned to devote my existence to the beauty of art. From the moment our paths crossed, I found myself captivated by Samuel's distinct charm and remarkable talent. Our hearts danced to the same passions, our dreams intertwined, and we found endless delight in our conversations. Yet, Samuel has consistently embodied the essence of responsibility. We have never taken any action to betray your trust. A sudden laugh slipped from my lips, vibrant and uncontained, slicing through the delicate tapestry of her carefully woven tale. What, pray tell, constitutes a betrayal? I inquired, tilting my head ever so slightly. Is it solely in the embrace of entwined forms? Does it imply that as long as you have not crossed that ultimate threshold, I must stifle my discontent and come to terms with the reality that for so many years, Samuel's heart was never genuinely mine? Juliet's smile wavered ever so gently, the warmth in her expression transforming into something rigid and unyielding. That is not what I intended, she remarked, her voice remaining fluid yet tinged with a hint of caution. "I merely wish to illuminate matters for you." I gently shook my head. My tone was serene, effortlessly composed. "There is no necessity for you to do so. In all honesty, I find myself indifferent now. Regardless of whether you both shared 30 years filled solely with words or ventured into deeper realms, it holds no significance for me. What I hold against you is not your presence in his life. It pains me to reflect on the years I devoted to a man who ultimately proved unworthy of my affection." I reclined, my gaze lingering on her with utmost care. "And let us be candid, dear Samuel, even my own children, you all find it difficult to grasp the reasons behind my decision to depart at this stage of life. Do you believe I should simply bear it, allowing circumstances to remain unchanged? Yet, dear Juliet, I find that your understanding is not a necessity for me. I find no necessity for the approval of others. I simply cannot depart from this life burdened by regrets. I yearn to rediscover the essence of the self that has slipped away from me." Juliet had effortlessly restored her poise, delicately mending the fleeting fissure that had momentarily disrupted her flawless exterior. "Eleanor," she said with a lingering smile, "if you genuinely held no blame for him, we would not find ourselves in this conversation. Perhaps you would not feel such anger. That is why I am taking the time to clarify, ensuring you grasp that there was nothing amiss between us. My patience has all but vanished in the face of this." I beckoned the waiter, settled the bill for our coffee, and gracefully rose to my feet. Gazing down at her, I spoke with a soft, measured assurance. "It is solely my prerogative to determine whether to hold him accountable. Dearest Juliet, this is not a struggle meant for your heart to bear. Rest assured. Before long, I shall be liberated from his presence. Then the tender sentiments you both cherish can gracefully emerge from the shadows. Whether it be a meeting of the minds or a union of bodies, whatever path you choose shall no longer be of my concern." In silence, I turned and gracefully exited the cafe. Samuel stood patiently just beyond the threshold. His visage bore the marks of fatigue, etched with the weariness of the soul and a hint of what might be construed as regret. As I glided by, he instinctively reached out, attempting to capture my hand with a gentle touch. With a graceful movement, I glided past him effortlessly. Juliet gracefully joined him, effortlessly finding her place at his side. They stood side by side, beautifully silhouetted by the warm glow of the setting sun. An elderly gentleman and a graceful lady, their silver tresses glimmering in the light, their essence harmoniously intertwined. At first sight, they appeared to be a flawless match. The very same self-centeredness. The very same facade. The same exquisitely fashioned semblance of sophistication. I cast a final glance at Samuel, my voice calm and resolute. "Samuel Harrington, you stand on the threshold of 70 years. You have devoted a lifetime to deceiving your own heart. Perhaps you truly think you have acted with honor. Holding on to me even as your heart roams free. Persuading oneself that the strength of self-restraint reflects a noble integrity. However, allow me to express my sentiments clearly, I find it hard to accept. We shared a bond for more than 40 years, yet for 3 decades, your heart seemed to wander elsewhere. And even now, you continue to conceal it, still hesitant to embrace the truth that lingers in the air. My heart goes out to you." With that, I gracefully turned on my heel and strolled away, never once casting a glance back. Life unfolded with a newfound grace after that moment. My flight lessons were unfolding beautifully, and whispers of my progress had begun to circulate throughout the academy. It was common knowledge that a graceful grandmother with silvery hair was embarking on the enchanting journey of learning to fly. A woman in her 60s, gracefully defying all expectations. As they beheld my example, the younger students blossomed with newfound motivation, their enthusiasm radiating like a gentle breeze, captivating all around. Some, with my gracious consent, even captured the essence of my training sessions and shared them in the digital realm. To my astonishment, the videos captured the hearts of many and blossomed into a viral sensation. Before I realized it, I had gracefully transformed into a local internet sensation. The grandmother served as an unexpected muse. Yet, just as I was savoring my newfound freedom, one could no longer contain his impatience. He swept into my apartment, his face flushed with fervor, his voice laced with pointed accusation. "Mother, have you perhaps lost your senses? What compels you to subject yourself to such indignity? Are you aware of the kind of shame you have cast upon our family? Have you truly transformed our sanctuary into chaos, and do you not feel a hint of remorse? Let us put an end to this frivolity. Return home and fulfill your rightful duties." I gazed upon him, the son I nurtured, the boy for whom I had given so much of myself. All that enveloped me was a chilling wave of profound disappointment. "Caleb," I spoke with a calm yet distant tone, "you have outgrown your childhood. Yet, it is evident that I have faltered in nurturing your growth. It seems I may not have imparted the lessons of respect, for here you stand, addressing the one who brought you into this world as though she were lesser than you." Caleb released a sharp, mocking laugh, his gaze sweeping over me with an air of scrutiny. "You are the essence of beauty, a gentle whisper in the night, captivating and enchanting all at once." He cast a disdainful glance. "You are but a mere leech upon the Harrington family, draining their essence. In the absence of my father, where would you find yourself? Do you truly believe your life would have been as comfortable without him by your side? You were merely a soul from a forgotten corner of the world. It is important to cherish the years you have spent by my father's side, embracing the journey of love and companionship that you have shared. It is the most exquisite blessing that has graced your life. And now you believe that shedding a few pounds, indulging in beauty treatments, and embracing elegant pastimes transforms you into Juliet? Enhances your elegance." Emotions brimmed in my eyes, yet not from sorrow. From a place of profound and unvarnished distaste. I gently shook my head, gazing at the enigmatic stranger before me. "If that is how you perceive me, Caleb," I replied, my voice trembling yet resolute, "then seek out a mother who aligns with your desires. Yet, I implore you, do not seek me out again." Caleb placed his hands upon the table with a forceful gesture, his expression contorting in a tempest of emotions. "Very well," he exclaimed with fervor. "Eleanor Moore, from this moment onward, you shall no longer hold the title of my mother. I offered you the opportunity to return, yet you chose to decline. When the moment arrives that you acknowledge your misstep and return, I implore you, do not seek anything from me or father." With a final flourish of anger, he sent the trash bin in my living room tumbling, its contents scattering gracefully across the floor. And then he vanished, the door closing with a decisive thud behind him. I found myself amidst the remnants of that fleeting moment, observing as the dust and fragments gracefully danced in the air. A profound ache enveloped my heart, a raw sensation that throbbed within my chest, reminiscent of a wound laid bare. Yet, following the anguish, there emerged a different essence. Sweet relief. For at last, I had glimpsed their true selves, revealing the essence of who they really were. Their self-centeredness. Their chilling aloofness. And I was enveloped in a profound sense of gratitude, a heartfelt appreciation for the choice I had made to depart while the moments were still mine to cherish. Were I to harbor a single regret, it would be but this. I ought to have risen earlier. As I made my way home from my last floral arrangement class, I chanced upon a charming shopping mall and felt compelled to step inside, seeking new vases to grace my apartment, replacing the old with something fresh and delightful. The instant I crossed the threshold, my gaze fell upon them. Samuel was adoringly attentive to Juliet, gracefully carrying her bags while she meandered through the store with ease. Trailing behind them, Caleb, Naomi, and their child strolled along, their hands adorned with shopping bags, radiating the joy of a delightful outing. "Juliet, your taste is simply exquisite," Caleb remarked, his voice laced with admiration. "The garments you selected for us today exude such exquisite style. I shall don mine for work tomorrow. All will be captivated by the charm of the moment." Juliet smiled with an air of grace. "Indeed, you bear a striking resemblance to your father. Exquisite form, captivating beauty. One ought to adorn oneself in a manner that complements their inherent grace." Caleb's face lit up with delight at the compliment, a soft laugh escaping his lips as he responded, "Exactly, not like my mother. She often chose for me those rather unappealing garments, lacking in any semblance of elegance or flair. Samuel, ever the devoted companion, presented Juliet with a thermos cup, gently massaging her shoulders with tender affection. "Surely, today has left you feeling quite weary. Would you care for a refreshing sip of water? Shall we indulge in a delightful dinner and then unwind together?" I lingered at a distance, observing the scene as it gracefully unfolded, a subtle smile playing upon my lips. They had never found joy in shopping alongside me. They once remarked that my attire lacked elegance, that my figure was less than ideal, and that accompanying me in public was a source of discomfort. On those rare occasions when we ventured out together, they maintained a certain distance, as if weaving a delicate veil over the truth of our familial bond. Yet, in a twist of fate, something unforeseen unfolded. Naomi, who had remained quiet and devoid of expression until this moment, suddenly found her voice. "Caleb, how can you speak of your mother in such a manner?" Caleb cast her a glance laced with irritation. "You fail to grasp the essence of it. Cease your naivety. One might find wisdom in the ways of Aunt Juliet. Elegant and refined. Such is the essence of a woman." Juliet arched an eyebrow, bestowing a thoughtful gaze upon Naomi. After a moment's hesitation, she delicately retrieved a jewelry box from one of the shopping bags and presented it to her with grace. "Dearest Naomi, this is meant for you. It seems we share a delightful connection. I sincerely wish for our bond to remain strong and cherished." Naomi chose not to accept it. Instead, she regarded Juliet with a chilling gaze. "Juliet, do you not find this situation to be somewhat improper? After all, Eleanor and Samuel have yet to finalize their divorce. Shouldn't you perhaps pause until all is in order before embracing the role of the deserving woman by his side?" A delicate blush graced Juliet's cheeks. She waved her hand with a graceful flick, a hint of surprise dancing in her eyes. "You seem to have misinterpreted my words. Marriage does not hold my interest. I have always cherished the beauty of independence. Samuel and I share a profound bond, nothing beyond that. Regardless of the fate of Eleanor and Samuel's union, it bears no relevance to my own existence. Kindly refrain from suggesting that I am attempting to lay claim to him." For the first time, a hint of uncertainty graced Samuel's blissful expression. He appeared completely taken aback, as though he had never anticipated Juliet to utter such words in the presence of Caleb and Naomi. His lips parted ever so gently, yet silence lingered in the air. A soft scoff slipped from Naomi's lips as she turned to depart, yet fate had other plans, drawing her gaze to mine from across the store. As she turned her gaze, the world around her seemed to pause, and one by one, they followed her eyes to find me standing there. Their expressions contorted into a tapestry of surprise, remorse, and unease. I gracefully adjusted my freshly trimmed hair and glided toward them, the sound of my heels softly echoing against the polished floor. "Samuel," I remarked with a gentle grace, "since our paths have crossed here, there's truly no need for me to make a call. The court hearing for our separation is set for the coming Monday. Kindly ensure your presence is timely. Enough of the games, enough of the waiting. Let us complete this journey, allowing you to embrace your soulmate into your life with the grace and warmth they deserve." Then I turned to Naomi, bestowing upon her a warm smile before softly caressing her shoulder. "My dear, Caleb is unworthy of your affection." My voice was gentle yet resolute. "Contemplate your future with utmost care. If you possess wisdom, it would be wise to part ways with him sooner rather than later, lest you find yourself squandering your precious years as I once did." And with that, I gracefully turned and strolled away, never casting a glance behind. Following our last hearing, Samuel and I gracefully arrived at a harmonious agreement. The judge declared our divorce to be official, and soon the decree would grace our mailbox. As we emerged from the courthouse, Samuel paused for a moment, then gently pulled at my sleeve, a tender gesture that lingered in the air between us. "My dearest Eleanor, regardless of your thoughts on my sincerity, there is something I must express. Parting from you was never my desire." I released a delicate, mocking laugh. "Ah, I trust you," I replied. "You never desired to part ways. You desired a partner to grace your home with warmth and care, while nurturing a kindred spirit to share in your whimsical artistic dreams. His face bloomed with a rosy hue, only to fade into a delicate pallor. My dear Eleanor, what has cast such a shadow upon your spirit? He broke the silence. Embrace the truth within your heart. Have I ever wronged you in any way? I worked diligently to earn this money, and I willingly bestowed it all upon you. I consistently returned home punctually. Our discussions about Juliet never led to any disagreements between us. What more do you desire? I gestured with a delicate wave of my hand, a subtle dismissal lingering in the air. All words had faded into silence. We have transcended the moment for such discussions, Samuel Harrington. I took care to employ his full name, as though I were speaking to an unfamiliar soul. Do take gentle care of yourself. And with that, I gracefully turned and strolled away. There were far more significant pursuits awaiting me than to linger here, engaged in a dispute with a man who had never genuinely perceived my essence. From that moment on, my thoughts drifted away from Samuel and Caleb, never to return. I immersed myself completely in my flight training, embracing my new life and the dreams that awaited me. By a delightful twist of fate, a local television station became aware of my tale. They extended their hand, filled with anticipation to showcase my presence in a captivating performance. A beacon for those who, like myself, have wandered into the depths of familial devotion, losing sight of the essence of their own existence. They whispered that time holds no bounds. I found the idea utterly enchanting. Thus, I consented. The program graced the airwaves shortly thereafter, shattering records for its time slot. And there I found myself, a seasoned woman adorned in a sleek flight suit, headset in place, sunglasses shimmering as I glided gracefully through the vast expanse of the sky. The flight was not overly challenging, yet it was sufficient. Sufficient to evoke admiration, sufficient to capture the attention of others. Before long, the internet was awash with delightful remarks, affectionately dubbing me Blue Sky Grandma. The show gracefully accompanied me to my abode, capturing the essence of my everyday existence. At a certain moment, a keen observer caught sight of something intriguing in the background. A cherished family portrait, nestled in a neglected corner, softly gathering dust over the years. Intrigued, a few viewers ventured further into the depths. They followed the threads to Samuel's former place of employment, delicately unraveling the intricate details of our separation. Then arrived the true whispers of intrigue. Former students shared their voices. It seems that, even prior to the divorce, whispers circulated about the esteemed Professor Harrington and the considerable hours he devoted to a captivating lady within the confines of his art studio. Hand in hand, they would create a masterpiece together, two souls entwined in their own enchanting realm. It wasn't long before the internet uncovered Juliet and her enchanting gallery. And just like that, the old professor's decades-long romance captured the public's imagination, becoming a topic of fervent discussion. Soft murmurs floated through the air, spoken in hushed tones behind him. Passers-by cast curious glances towards his abode. Despite Samuel's efforts to blend into the background, donning hats and scarves as a disguise, there was always someone who would see through his facade and recognize him. The whispers trailed behind him like a persistent shadow, unashamedly. Without a heart. He turned his back on the woman who had devoted herself to him for decades. Juliet was the first to succumb to the weight of expectation. She gracefully positioned herself before the camera, tears glistening like delicate jewels in her eyes. Samuel and I share a bond that remains purely platonic. We have always upheld the highest standards of integrity. I would never intrude upon the sanctity of a married man's household. Kindly refrain from making accusations. I embrace examination, for I possess no secrets to conceal. Yet, none were inclined to believe her. People had already discerned the subtle art of her carefully chosen words, the manner in which she wove the truth with delicate threads, never quite crossing the line into falsehood. The criticism was unyielding. Her gallery gradually began to dwindle in patronage. The flow of clients has ceased. The investors have withdrawn their support. In a matter of months, she found herself with no alternative but to bring it to a close. Overwhelmed by the weight of judgment, Juliet gracefully gathered her belongings, readying herself to depart from the city she once cherished. Yet, even amidst the bustling airport, someone's gaze fell upon her. And that was the moment he graced my presence. A passerby captured the entire scene on film. In that fleeting instant, Samuel, appearing more weary than ever, hurried to intervene and halt her progress. The video graced social media within mere hours. "Juliet, you cannot simply walk away," Samuel implored, a note of desperation lacing his voice. "What of me? I ended my marriage with Eleanor for you. In due time, all of this shall pass. No one shall care any longer. At long last, we can embrace our togetherness." Juliet gracefully extricated her arm from his hold, her countenance reflecting a deep-seated disdain. "Once, you possessed an air of elegance," she mocked. "Your attire was impeccable, and you moved with an air of grace. Yet here you stand, radiant and captivating. Disheveled. Unrefined. Regrettable." And with that, she glided away, leaving Samuel rooted in place, astonished as though she had just fractured the very essence of his existence. With a delicate flick of my finger, I closed the video, my heart untouched by its fleeting moments. Instead, I redirected my gaze to the blossoms on my balcony, delicately rearranging them to bask in the warm embrace of the afternoon sunlight. Suddenly, a new message graced my phone's screen. "With love, Naomi. Mother, I have made the difficult decision to file for divorce from Caleb. I wish for my son to have a different role model as he grows up." A soft chuckle escaped my lips as I responded with a single word. "Delightful." As the years gracefully unfolded, Samuel sought me out time and again. I never laid eyes upon him. Caleb often extended his hand, expressing deep remorse for his actions and yearning for my forgiveness. With each encounter, my reply remained unchanged. "If your heart is heavy with regret, then shower Naomi with the care and support she deserves. Embrace the role of a devoted father." My existence was serene, deeply satisfying. Another year has gracefully passed. Then, quite unexpectedly, Samuel, who had always enjoyed robust health, suffered a stroke. The news found its way to me amidst a business meeting with my flight academy instructor, where we were engaged in a discussion about a promising promotional partnership. I had the honor of being selected as their brand ambassador, and together we were poised to unveil a comprehensive industry chain. At long last, even in the twilight of my years, I have embraced a career of my own. Amidst the echoes of our shared history, I carved out a moment in my schedule to visit him at the hospital. Upon my arrival, Samuel reclined in bed, his once defined features softened by the grip of illness. His lips parted slightly, a delicate sheen of moisture gathering at the corners. Even the art of conversation eluded him now. He could only produce a series of disjointed, indistinct murmurs. I lowered myself, gazing into his eyes. Once, he was a fervent and esteemed artist, filled with pride and passion. The gentleman I had cherished with all my heart, the one for whom I had sacrificed everything. Now his haughty demeanor had dissipated. His gaze lingered in the distance, a shadow of emptiness, while his lips curled in a subtle frustration, as if the very essence of expression eluded him. Time is a relentless companion, offering no refuge, especially to those destined to gather the fruits of their own labor. I lingered in quietude, as memories danced vividly through my thoughts. The young man I encountered in our quaint town, the sacrifices I embraced for him to chase his dreams, the family we nurtured together, his flourishing success, his ascending reputation. Myself. For years, I devoted myself to nurturing our home, standing by his side, and holding steadfast in my faith in him. Only to come to the bittersweet realization that I had been naught but a fleeting shadow in the tapestry of his existence. Yet as I gazed upon him now, delicate, shattered, solitary, I felt no animosity. There is a lack of fulfillment. Merely an ending. With a soft sigh, I delved into my bag, retrieving a pristine handkerchief to delicately wipe the droplet from his chin. His gaze turned toward me, brimming with an emotion I had yet to encounter. Remorse, longing, perhaps a touch of sorrow. Yet, beneath it all, his pride remained, a subtle whisper of his essence. Even now, reclining in a hospital bed, he found it difficult to release the essence of the man he once was. "Samuel," I whispered, my voice smooth and serene. "Do you recall the words you whispered to me on our wedding day?" His lips quivered, yet silence enveloped him. "You expressed that uniting with me in marriage was the most profound honor of your existence." His eyes danced with a fleeting light. A delicate shiver coursed through his fingers. A gentle smile graced my lips, untouched by sorrow or ire. Simply a surrender of sorts. "Yet, in the end, dear Samuel, you never truly held that honor close to your heart." Glistening tears gathered in his eyes. His delicate hand quivered gently, rising ever so slightly, as it sought to intertwine with mine. Yet, he found himself devoid of the strength he once possessed. With a moment's pause, I gently grasped his hand in mine. Once, his hands possessed a strength and warmth, skilled in the art of creating beauty. Now they appeared delicate, ethereal, adorned with the whispers of time, seemingly devoid of vitality. "The doctors assure me that you will pull through," I whispered gently. "However, you will require care that extends over the long term. I shall not be the one to offer it." A solitary tear glided down his cheek. He blinked swiftly, as though seeking an answer to an unspoken question. "It is not due to the lingering affection I hold for you. It is not that I am unable to release my grip," I replied, gently shaking my head. "I shall not surrender to the essence of your being. For years, you overlooked my presence, relegating me to the shadows of your story. At last, you have come to understand the essence of solitude." I released a gentle sigh. "Yet, I shall not allow bitterness to envelop me as it did you. I have already made my decision. To release. To embrace forgiveness." Samuel's gaze became filled with a poignant urgency, as he endeavored to comprehend the weight of my words. He made another attempt to express his thoughts. Yet the sounds that emerged were merely disjointed, elusive syllables, lacking harmony. I chose not to linger for their words. I delicately let go of his hand, rose gracefully, and took a step back. "Do take care of yourself, dear Samuel." I cast him a final, lingering look before gracefully turning and departing. As I emerged from the hospital, I inhaled deeply, savoring the fresh air that greeted me. The sun caressed my skin with its warmth, its golden rays enveloping me in a tender embrace. I tilted my head back, allowing the warmth to envelop me, as it caressed the depths within that had long been shrouded in chill. I found myself unencumbered. For countless years, I found myself ensnared in a union that diminished my very essence. I had gracefully chosen to become unseen, placing my dreams and desires gently aside, persuading myself that my purpose was to serve, to sacrifice, to endure with quiet strength. Yet, in this moment, I had discovered the art of living for my own heart's desire. I had liberated myself from the bonds of another. I was self-reliant, unafraid, and brimming with the infinite potential of Eleanor. As I journeyed homeward, I found myself wandering down a charming detour. The Academy of Flight. I stood before the hangar, my eyes drawn to the elegant, shimmering planes arranged in a perfect line, their wings reaching gracefully toward the heavens. A delightful thrill coursed through me, an exhilarating sensation I had not experienced in many years. My journey was only just unfolding. "My dearest Eleanor, your arrival is truly serendipitous." My instructor approached with a confident stride, a warm smile gracing his lips as he placed a hand gently on my shoulder. "Your private pilot's license has been graciously approved. You are now poised for your solo flight tomorrow." I smiled, my gaze unwavering as I lifted my eyes to the expansive azure heavens. Indeed. Tomorrow, I shall take to the skies. Alone in my thoughts. The following day, I fastened my flight suit, adorned my sunglasses, and gracefully entered the cockpit. As the plane glided gracefully along the runway, my heart raced in harmony with the gentle vibrations beneath me. My fingers gently clasped the controls, a delicate grip that spoke of anticipation. Through my headset, the tower's voice emerged, unwavering and resplendent. "Blue sky grandma, you are ready to soar into the heavens." I released a soft breath, my lips gently arching. "Comprehended." And then I gently advanced the throttle. The plane soared gracefully into the sky, its wheels relinquishing their hold on the earth below. And in that moment, I found myself soaring through the air. As I liberated myself from the confines of the earth, ascending ever higher into the vast expanse of the sky, my heart soared alongside me. For an eternity, my existence had been ensnared. Ensnared within the confines of kitchens, bound by the monotony of routines, and burdened by the heavy gaze of others' expectations. Yet, that shall be the end. From this moment onward, I shall embrace life according to my own desires. I cast my gaze upon the world beneath me. The heartache, the betrayals, the tears that have marked my journey. Everything was diminutive. Far away. Rendered helpless by the woman I had transformed into. I opened my arms wide, welcoming the infinite expanse of the sky above. Embracing my liberation. As it was indeed true. It is never too late.